Hi everybody, this is Grimmy, and this is like the third time I've been trying to record this video because I just can't seem to get it right. I don't have a script for this one because I just wanted to give a life update. So I'm just gonna get right into it. At the beginning of the year, I had no house. I lived in a flat, I rented a flat across the street. And by the end of February, I had a house. And I did it completely on my own up until my dad had to come over from the other side of Europe to help me build my furniture because I was getting really, really stressed out and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I did all the administration, legal stuff all on my own, and that was extremely emotionally and mentally draining. And I just got, ever since, I think I've been recuperating ever since, really. Actually saying that, I don't think I've really ever recuperated ever since doing grading for my university day job in November, because I was grading for the first time. I don't think I've ever really recovered from that. I feel like I've still been climbing my way back up. So suddenly having to deal with a bunch of administration stuff with the house, moving everything across the street, building new furniture and everything, it was just a lot all at once, which is why my content hasn't been as consistent as it was for the last few years. I used to be quite consistent with my Saturday live streams and, well, semi-consistent, not always the most consistent with my Twitch live streams, and I wanted to start doing TikTok live streams. Obviously, that hasn't happened for a variety of reasons, being I am drained, I am exhausted, I am a stressed out bundle of nerves. Something that I didn't realize how much was the case until I started driving. I passed my driving test a couple weeks ago. First try, with only 2 minors, which is great. And leading up to that test, I was doing up to 4 hours per week to prepare for it, which for some people is not a big deal, but for me, I really don't enjoy driving under pressure, and doing tests and doing lessons feels very, very stressful to me, and I felt very under pressure. So, 4 hours of driving per week, 2 at a time, was exhausting to me. So that's also added to me being tired. On top of that, as I've mentioned, I have a day job at university. I'm a part-time university lecturer, and I had to do a lot of grading, and I was helping out with lessons and feedbacks and stuff like that. So obviously I had days where that was my priority because that is my job and my position. So in the last 6 months, a lot has been happening. I've been getting more hours at uni as well, which is, things have shifted around. So that's why things haven't been as consistent as I would personally like them to be. I know it's not an expectation anybody really has of me. It's completely self-imposed. It's been imposed upon myself, but that is where I am with that. Also, I was in my first little bit of a, how would one say, niche internet skerfuffle. Skerfuffle is a good way of putting it. I had some apparently hot takes that certain parts of the My Hero Academia fandom didn't like, and I got some people having issues with me, which is, they're allowed to do that. But it's one of those things where it's like I just ignored it because I don't care. I said what I said, and I don't back down from what I said. But it's like I was blocking people who were being rude to me, and I was like, I'm not interested in having a conversation with you. And then got mad at me for blocking them, and I was like, well, I'm not open to discussion. So there's some parts of the fandom who think I'm just a horrendous bitch, and you know what, whatever. Go for it, buddies. I haven't lost any followers over it, so clearly they weren't ever going to be my followers, so I don't care. Which leads on to my next sort of heart-to-heart about myself that I wanted to do a bit on this life update. I don't know how you guys see me as a content creator. Obviously, there's the few who come to my live stream and see how I am there, but I don't know how the wider scope of my constant, returning, not so constant, social media peeps see me. I don't know how you guys see me. Feel free to tell me how you see me in the comment section. As my dear friend Fraubles has said, I have unwarranted arrogance, which 100%. I do. That's what happens when you're the only daughter, the only child of 2 very doting parents. And we've made jokes about it before. But I feel like despite that, and despite having a fuck you, I'll do it anyway attitude, and I'll very, very independent and very much do things on my own, I still have a very low self-opinion of myself, and I'm quite a sensitive person, which means that I'm also very sensitive to my own emotions rather than other people, weirdly enough. I don't deal with my own emotions very well, in the sense of I don't like feeling them, and so I just, that's something I had to go to therapy for, because I was really struggling with that. When I was first doing therapy, when my therapist was asking me, so how do you feel about that? I was like, see, I gave you my answer, and you're like, okay, instead of rationalizing your thoughts, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, is that not the same thing? Oh no. And so, it's one of those things where I couldn't name the emotion I was feeling. And so we had to literally write out negative, neutral, and positive emotions so I could actually pinpoint them. Nowadays, I know what my emotions are, and my general negative emotion that I feel very sickly about is generally frustration and paranoia. I feel frustrated about a lot of things, typically things that I find stupid, annoying, frustrating, and paranoia because of the 2020 era of my content with Dream SMP and stuff like that, and just the stuff I witnessed with people being utterly and completely insane. I will not sugarcoat it. Shit was wild in the Dream SMP fandom 2020, 2021, 2022, and still nowadays, in a way. It's calmed down now, but bleh. So I feel like I'm just a very paranoid person when it comes to social media stuff, which is probably why I'm so block happy. I'll block people for having a username I don't like. It's never personal. Back to a thing of I don't know how you guys perceive me. I feel like sometimes I react a certain way to certain types of comments, especially when I'm maybe very tired that day, or very frustrated, or very impatient. That maybe comes across as rude and, rough and very dry. And, I feel like I've upset a couple people with the way I've commented on stuff. And, I am sorry, because I don't want ever anybody to feel, upset by anything I've said. But at the same time, I get so many comments every single day. And when you get a very specific type of repeated comment, it's hard to deal with all of it all at once. I get a lot of comments which is like, when are you gonna make this? Oh, I have an idea for you to make this. Can you make this? I get a lot of people making, jokes which sometimes really don't land. And I have for what I call awkward teen comments, which is comments I used to make back in the day. And, I can sniff out the people in my comment section, and I'm just like, I'm gonna delete that for your own sake, because I know in 5 years' time you're gonna be staying up at night thinking about it. And when you get a lot of those types of comments, it becomes very exhausting to go through every day. I am externally grateful for all the comments and interaction I get on my social media. It's not a criticism of commenting itself. It's just a reality of when you do this almost 24/7 as a job, especially when you're someone like me who is very, I would like to say, very hardworking, but bordering on a workaholic. It's very easy to spiral and to get very frustrated and annoyed very quickly with certain types of comment. At the moment, the "somebody explain" comments drive me up the wall. No, I will not explain. You will live in ignorance like the rest of us. Only I get to know. It's supposed to be a life update, but I feel like this section of the video is more so explaining that maybe the way you guys see me as a person is not necessarily the person I actually am, which I think is a very normal for the online stuff, parasocial relationships, which people need to understand that parasocial relationships happen naturally. It's not even on purpose. But I just want to, I want to apologize to the few people that maybe, especially in the last 6 months, I've sort of, made upset with some of my more dry comments. Gentle reminder that I am now legally British, and I have been brought up with very dry, sarcastic comments a lot of the time. So maybe that's also got a bit to do with it, of the dryness. I do want to apologize to anybody who's, who I may have upset with some of the way I've replied to things. I can assure you it's never personal. It is never a personal thing. I'm doing this all on my own. I don't have any help or any support with the content I make online and all the people I see every day all the time. So, you know, I'm happy to have a little bit of a discussion of, you know, how you guys perceive me, maybe what you guys expect of me as a content creator. I'm happy to have that feedback. I'm a very no-nonsense, I'll do it my way or the highway sort of person. Again, Frobbles, if you're watching this, Frobbles will have some stories to tell you of the way I am, as well as my parents. So, I also, on the community tab, I did ask for if any of you guys had any questions that you want to ask me. I obviously will always answer questions. I did ask if anybody had any questions, and so I'm just going to go through a few questions that people asked. If I missed your question or whatever, I probably answered it in the replies. Do you or have you ever had a least favorite character? I've had a few about my favorite, least favorite My Hero Academia characters. Obviously, my favorite is Endeavor. Followed up by All For One and All Might, and then Burnin and Overhaul. So those are my top 5 favorite characters. Least favorite? No, not really. I don't have a least favorite character. I have characters. The typical tier is boring, good, interesting, my favorite, generally speaking. Of boring, there's nothing wrong necessarily with you. You're just not my cup of tea as a character, and I just don't find you very interesting. Good, I'm happy you're there. I enjoy that you're there, and your content it's solid. I see your worth in the story. Interesting. I want to have a conversation with somebody who knows you very, very well, and I would like to discuss you. For example, the Liberation Army. For example, the Meta Liberation Army. Are they my favorite? No, but I find them really, really interesting, and I want to dissect them a little bit more. And then we've got my favorite, who I've just mentioned. So I don't have a least favorite. I guess fandom mischaracterization of characters would be my least favorite. I think the only character I can say I despise with my entire being is probably, still to this day, and my uni friends will be like, are you still on about it? And the answer is yes. I've been on about it since I was in my in secondary school. I'll die mad about it. I hate X-23, Laura Kinney, clone of the Wolverine. Absolutely despise her. Not so much because there's anything wrong with the character, more so just because of what the character represents as the state of Marvel Comics and comics in general. So my least favorite character of all time, and probably the only character I am still dying mad about, is X-23. Everybody else, no, I don't have a least favorite character. What's your favorite and your most despised ice cream flavor? My favorite flavor is Frutti di Bosco, which is basically wild forest fruits. And my least favorite will probably be something artificial like bubblegum or unicorn swirl or something like that. Something really icky and gross that I don't like. Will you be doing another OC review? Yeah, I want to do another one. When will it be? I have no idea. It'll be at some point this year probably when I found some downtime. I'd like to do like a fandom specific OCs like Has Been on My Hero Academia, because I feel like that's a bit easier to make a review of than just original OCs for original stories. So we'll see. I do want to make another one, but I don't know when. Who would you say is your favorite comic book manga artist? Tita Kubo, who did Bleach, Horikoshi, obviously, and John McCrea are my 3 favorite comic book artists. Have you considered making an art book? Yes, I have. I'm considered making physical media of all my content, not even to make merch of or to sell, because there's a whole legal side of stuff with selling like fan fiction and all of that. So I don't want to do that. Mostly for myself, so I have a physical record of it. But I would like to make an art book at some point of something. I don't know what. Would see. Maybe when I finish like each series, just kind of like a zine of all my content, of all my images. But it's one of those things that's like, it's really hard to do, and I just don't know how to go about it. I'd like to do it with like somebody professional who knows how to do it really well. I can just do all the hard lifting for me. I can just be there for the creative process, and they can just do all the heavy lifting. How do you get the motivation to draw, write, and post so frequently? Spite and something to do. Any advice for aspiring writers? This is the same advice I have for anybody who wants to make more long-form content. Go into something, only start making the stuff, like writing out the story and stuff like that, if you hear that sound, it's the water pump. If you only start writing something down if you've done all the preparation stuff first. I feel like there's a lot of people who just go into a project head first, and some people work really well like that. I don't. I'm a big on preparation and and knowing what I'm getting into and what I'm doing and the direction I want to go into. So I'd say for any aspiring writer, have a beginning, middle, and end, and be ready to do a lot of refined work. If any of my friends will tell you, I did a lot of mishaps, refinement work of my original story, and I would like to post that one day. Do you work in any other mediums? I have worked with watercolors, acrylics, charcoal, pencil sketches, a little bit of oil paints. I have done bits and bobs here and there, photography. I at the moment, I mainly do digital because it's just the most convenient for me, but I have done it all and I am able to. I could definitely show some of the work if anybody's interested, but I wouldn't really want to share too much of that online because I would like, if I am going to make traditional media, I'd like to keep it for myself mainly, but I wouldn't be against showing it at some point. How do you cope with stressful and tough situations? Well, considering how I dealt with the internet stuff that happened over Easter, which, don't hit the hornet's nest and all that, probably not very well, all things considered. I feel like my first instinct is to just put my head down and work until the situation is over and then cry about it. But considering how I dealt with it, my first things I did was go to a person who can give me help, support, be it emotional, physical, and then cry about it. So get the emotions out. A little story time. After Easter, my dad was, trying to be, not trying to be, he was being very motivating, very, very supportive of me finding driving difficult. And he was like, I think one of the issues that you have is that because you're very much a thinking person, as you spoke about with your therapy person, because you're very much in your thinking, you don't feel your emotions very well. So a little bit of meditation would do you good. It doesn't have to be anything deep. It just has to be a little bit of just sitting there and just letting yourself feel the feelings. And so, when I got home and I was confronted with a very stressful situation that just made me feel so sick that I couldn't eat my delicious sweet and sour rice. That was honestly the breaking point, but I couldn't eat my rice. I came home, I dealt with that situation, and I was so stressed about it, but I just sat down and just quote unquote felt my feelings, and I literally burst into the most hiccupy, body shaking tears I had in a while. And it was literally, it made me feel better because I could eat. But I was in such a state of distress, I had to go to bed. And then that happened also the lesson right before my exam for my driving test as well. So if I'm stressed, I don't deal with it well. I just cry and I feel embarrassed. I was in the car with my driving instructor and I was getting really stressed out with a stupid bay parking. I hate bay parking. And I was getting stressed out because 3 learner drivers behind me and I was blocking the way and blah, blah, blah. This was really stressful. And I just started crying. And he was like, oh, do you want a moment to stop? I was like, please. And I was crying. I was like, more than anything, I'm more embarrassed that I'm crying at all because it's just really embarrassing. He was like, don't be embarrassed. Don't think about me. I was like, it's really hard to not be embarrassed about crying in front of someone who's right next to you, So the answer is I don't deal with them well, but I persevere, I push through. Considering that right after that lesson, I had my driving test 2 days later, and I passed with 2 minors. Perseverance is that. It's basically just, I might be crying and screaming and having a terrible time, but I did it, and I did it well. So, yeah, I don't know. Fake it till you make it, baby. What fandoms are you in other than My Hero Academia and Has Been Hotel and Dream SMP? I guess Naruto, Bleach, The Boys comics, I guess TV show. A lot of anime stuff, Kuroko no Basket, Asamatsu-san. Attack on Titan at some point. The stuff I actually enjoy, the medias I enjoy is actually outweighs the fandoms I'm a part in. I'm really much just like sticking to my own corner of things, generally speaking. Especially because like the couple times I did branch out, I got punched in the face, metaphorically speaking, by the internet. So you know what? I'm just gonna stick in my side. You guys do whatever you want over there. I'll just stay here. So I'm not really in any fandoms other than my little corner of it. So I had a lot of questions about Dream SMP, which understandable. That's how I got a lot of my followers. Will I make more Dream SMP content? Yes, I will. I want to. I really want to. I'm working on it. I promise. Anybody who knew I was doing the sketches for the Tommy and Tubbo Kill Dream animatic, I was doing a lot. I have a lot of planned. I have all my list of like lore animatics I want to do. There's a lot I want to do, but I just, at the moment, with how mentally drained and exhausted I am, it's just not very motivating to do any of it. Especially because, like, the endless stuff that keeps happening with the content creators, it's just not very, very appealing to do because it's just tiresome. But the answer is yes, I will get back to it at some point. Just right now, I'm trying to stay consistent with my content, and Dream SMP animatics take a very, very, very long time because they are, you know, very long, typically speaking, as you've seen with in the previous years of my half-hour-long animatics and all that. But jailbreak animatic, 30 minutes, all in one go, not even a compilation like the Sam in Prison animatics. So yes, I will make some more. I just need a bit of time. If you want me to be faster and you would like me to prioritize doing Dream SMP animatics, you could always pay me. You could always commission me if you're able to. Hint, hint. I am very money motivated. Grimmy, that's being sellout. Yes, I want to pay my bills. Yes, I want to eat. So if you can and if you want to, you can throw money at me and I'll do a silly little dance for you. Favorite song and color? Well, my favorite song changes a lot. At the moment, I've got the Eurovision brain rot. So, Baby Lasagna's that one's stuck in my head a lot. So I'd say that. Also, Tommy Cash's Espresso Macchiato, whatever, stuck in my head. So probably that because it's taking over my life a little bit. But it changes quite often. Favorite color though is turquoise. With My Hero Academia, have you read the manga or watched the anime or both? And what would you suggest a new person of the fandom to interact with first? Always, my opinion, always read the book of any adaptation first. Generally speaking, it will always be better than the adaptation, and the adaptation will be lacking in some way. I'm of the opinion of. I feel like if you read the manga first, you get all of this really good information, you get so much lore and so much stuff that the anime honestly messes up in many ways, but the anime will enhance it because you get the amazing voice acting, you get the awesome soundtrack, you get some really cool fight scenes. Every single time Endeavor is on screen, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. They make him so pretty. My pathetic man. So yes, so I would say definitely read the manga because the anime misses out on so much, but the anime will definitely enhance the stuff you read in the manga for sure. Will you write for your Fallen Heroes AU? Yes, and when? I don't know. Whenever it's done, I'm still workshopping it. Because unlike Hellflame AU or My Father's Warmth, where I can just follow the arcs quite closely and just change them as I need to, because of how vastly different the power balance and everything is happening in the Fallen Heroes AU, I basically have to reorganize the entire series, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on. I don't know if I should give an example, but for example, Endeavor and Rei, who are heroes, they end up teaming up with the likes of the Meta Liberation Army and the Shia Hasakai. So obviously you got these three powerhouses working together. The heroes are completely overpowered. So it's like, I want to make that happen, but I also don't want to just obliterate the heroes. I don't want to just do that because, you know, that's unfair. So, you know, there's a lot of reworking and working and sort of, I need to figure things out. So timeline wise. So I just need to, still working on it. I'm getting there. It's coming together. It's all coming together slowly but surely, I promise. Do you see yourself in any of the Todoroki family members, or have you had any similar experiences growing up? I had another question somewhere about like if I relate to any characters. I don't really relate to characters in this way people talk about, I think. But it's definitely, I don't really see myself in characters either, because I feel like people are much more nuanced than fictional characters, and I just don't equate fictional characters to real people at all. For me, fictional characters are narrative tools that I want to dissect. So I just don't really see myself in any fictional character. My favorite characters definitely have a trend of being the best at what they do. Like, they're highly efficient, generally speaking. With a couple outliers who are just pathetic men. So maybe there's traits I appreciate in some of my favorite characters that I maybe have or maybe would like to have or strive to have. But I would generally say that no, I don't really actually see myself in any character at all, because I feel like I'm far more nuanced than any fictional character could ever be, as is every living human being. So no, the answer is not really. Have I had similar experiences? In a way I have. In other ways I really haven't. As is life. Experience stuff, see stuff, maybe even be in the situation. Who knows? I just don't treat characters like I treat human beings. I do not see characters as people. I do not get attached to or care for characters in the way that I do actual living, breathing people that, you know, have an impact on my life and I have an impact on theirs. Fictional characters are very much a thing that if I close the book, I stop thinking about them instantly until they're brought up again, or I'm thinking about them for the sake of writing the story and stuff like that. For example, like All For One and Harrow are constant brain rot because all I do is want to draw them because they're fun right now, which answers another question of who is the most fun to draw right now. Harrow and All For One, I don't know how I got here. How did I get here? Why are they a thing? Ultimate Fangirl, this is all your fault. Anyway. And finally, Leo Mid asks, can I be let out of the basement? No. You get to sit right on top of the water pump and shake every time it goes because it's getting rid of the water. So the answer is no. Fun fact, we now have an attic and a basement, and I'm just expecting every single one of my birds to just be stuck there. Suffer, you don't get fed. You can eat the wood chips, I guess, or something. So yeah, that's what I have for you today. I don't know when content will get back to normal. I wanted to get back to normal sooner rather than later. Again, I like efficiency. I'm all about efficiency. Life update. A lot of stuff is happening. Lots of changes are happening. As someone who's now closer to 30 than 20, things are changing again. They never stop changing, by the way. If you're like, oh, I'll leave school and things will streamline. No, they don't. Normalcy is a facade and it doesn't exist. Nothing ever settles. Things are always happening. And being an adult is, I'll just make it till the end of the week. I always think, oh, if I just make it till Friday, then I can relax. And then I never relax. It never ends. It's an endless cycle of responsibilities. But honestly, it's kind of fun in its own way. Stressful as hell, though. I'm gonna fist fight council tax. I swear to God. Anyway, that's what I've got for you. Lots of adulting stuff more than anything. Give me a bit of grace because I'm stressed. I'm a stress head. I stress about everything nowadays. Thank you to my channel members: Peppermint X, Kunara Star, Obsidian Eyes, Halliday 316, Kirby Knight, Buttercup, Ember Ray, Wover Comet, Lady Gwen 88, Rose Throne 4620, Mellow High, Sarenix, Ultimate Fangirl.x, Blybu, Hatsui Cars, and Leo Midas. Mid. Thank you very much for the support you guys give me. Apologies for the channel member live streams not being the highest quality. Thank you everybody for watching. Sorry for this video being a bit long. A lot of stuff has been happening the last 6 months. You're welcome to ask about anything I've spoken about, or anything I haven't spoken about in the comments. And yeah, see you in one of the many videos I post in the future. I'll be in the comments. Bye guys.